Hey entrepreneur, this is Mark Newsom, Mr. Marketing. Welcome to this special presentation entitled How to Consistently Rank on the First Page of Google, even for extremely competitive keywords. Even though you may know very little about search engine optimization and your resources are extremely limited too. Ladies and gentlemen, you're about to discover how to consistently rank on Google's first page or any other major search engine for that matter for extremely competitive keywords, even though you may not necessarily know that much about proven search engine optimization techniques and strategies, and even if you're just starting out. Take a look at this heat map. This is a visualization of what happens when your eyes land on a SERP page, and SERP is just search engine results page, pardon me. And basically it's a fancy way of saying when you put a term into the search engines like say Google, and you click enter and you come to these pages, you see this sort of outline right here. Basically what that's telling you is that's where a majority of the eyes on that first page stays, and that's primarily the first 5 or 6 listings. In fact, most beginners don't realize that the first 5 listing on Google's first page or any other major search engine, ladies and gentlemen, they account for 74% of all the clicks. Or to say it another way, the listing number 6 through 10, because each page typically has 10 free listings in the organic search section. So if you're listing number 6 on the first page or listing number 10, from 6 to 10 on the first page and every other page thereabouts, they make up the remaining 26%. And those first 5 listings, as you'll see in just a moment, account for a staggering 74% of all the clicks. Now with that said, let's take a look at the typical breakdown in terms of click-throughs for the first page of any terms that rank on Google. If you're number 1 for any particular keyword phrase and or long tail keyword, and basically a keyword is typically 2 words, like say weight loss, you consider that a keyword, and that's very competitive, by the way, as you probably already realize. But the term we're going to be looking at here in just a moment, creative sales ideas, that's 3 words. That's primarily considered a long tail keyword. So typically anything longer than 2 words is considered a long tail keyword, and they're actually a little easier to rank for because it's more specific. Now, having said that, if you're number 1 for any given keyword, you're basically going to average 42% of the clicks. If you're number 2, you're going to average about 12%. Number 3, you're going to average about 8%. Number 4, you're going to average about 6% of the clicks. And number 5, you're going to average about 5%. Now if you add those figures up, 42, 12, 8, 6, and 5, you'll come up with 74. And that's why the first 5 listings typically will account for about 74% of all the click-throughs, pardon me. And let's define click-throughs so you're not confused here. Let's suppose you have a page about weight loss and it's a blog, and you're number 1. Depending on how many total searches that term gets, if you're ranked number 1 for it, about 42% of the people that click through for the month are going to click on your link most of the time. But all a click-through means is they clicked and landed, if it's your blog, your lead capture page, whatever it is. It does not mean A, they bought anything, or B, they joined your list. In fact, they might click, come to your site, realize instantly, this is not what I'm looking for, and leave the page. That still counts as a click-through. But that's all it is a click-through. Now, this is a paid keyword tool for a paid membership site that I'm a member and an active affiliate in. And without getting into all the particulars, we'll cover that in another video. You see where it says AdWords up here? If you click on that tab, it'll take you directly to Google's free keyword tool, just as if you typed in Google's free keyword tool into Google and clicked on the link. I put a search term into Google's free keyword tool, clicked enter, and it came back with 801 results. Now you see these little boxes over here? Earlier it was actually a check here. That was to let it know to run this particular term or keyword phrase, if you will, long tail keyword phrase, and it did, and it came back with 880 monthly searches. And it also said Google found out that it had, at the time that this search was actually done originally, Google found 76,600. You see where it says CP? That means competing pages. So in other words, Google's saying it went through all the index pages that it had, and it found 76,600 that at least, see where it says SVB, that means search volume broad, it had those three words on the page, not necessarily in that order, creative sales idea, but the word creative, sales, and idea. Now with that said, take a look at this next page. You see how we have, this is Google, see how we have this term, creative sales ideas? Now look at the number of competing pages, entrepreneur. 110 million. That's staggering, and that also means this is an incredibly competitive keyword. Now, a beginner really should not be going after a term like this, but take a look at the numbers, as we mentioned before. Since whoever this website is here, they're number one, they're going to average 42% of the clicks. Number two, they're going to average 12%. And number three is going to average 8%. And this is according to research that was done by the makers of Market Samurai. And if you're familiar with Market Samurai, that's another tool, paid tool that I use, that I have. And what that's telling you is this. Number one is going to get a majority of the clicks. Number two is going to get the second most. And number three, if you're listed for this particular term, is going to get the third most. But here's a little trick that most beginning online marketers don't know about, and that's why this video is being shot and shown to you. Let's take a look at this particular term, creative sales ideas. It gets a total of, as we mentioned, 880 total searches for the month. And here's how it basically breaks down. That number one listing is going to get about 42%. So what you do is you take the total number of searches for the month, multiply it by 0.42. In this particular case, you came up with 396. So that means that page that we were just looking at, for this particular term, it's going to average 396 of the total clicks for the month. Number two, they're going to average 12%. So if you take 880, multiply it by 0.12, you're going to come up with 105. And again, remember, click through just means they're going to click through, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't mean they're going to buy anything. It doesn't mean they're going to join your list. But they'll at least click through to your site, which is step one. The third listing is going to average 8% of the total monthly searches, which is, in this case, 70 clicks. Number four is going to average 6%. And if you multiply 880 times 0.06, you'll come up with 52. And some of these numbers, ladies and gentlemen, when you multiply them, you may come up, like in the case of this one here, the second one, it says 880 times 0.12, you may come up with 105 point something, but as a practical matter, we're just going to say 105 clicks. And finally, well, there's a number 5 there, but take a look at this. This is the exact same term, creative sales ideas, but you see here, Vimeo, or Vimeo, some people can pronounce it. This is the video portion of Google's searches. Now, this is number one. They're going to average 42. This is going to average whatever number 2 is. This is number 3. But looky there, ladies and gentlemen. Number 4, creative sales ideas. As of June 29th, 2013, I think you recognize that name right there, and you should recognize that site, www.youcanmarketonlinenow.com. So in other words, whenever you see a site, a term that's really competitive, first of all, you should not go after super competitive terms. But if you're going to do it, you use this strategy. Create a video. Now, most of the savvy online marketers already know this strategy. So that means probably if you try to do this with super competitive keywords terms, you're still not going to rank on the first page. But for a term like that that's only getting 880, it's not a whole lot of searches, which means a lot of the big time marketers won't even bother going after it. You see this, I've got the number 4 ranking, but I want to show you one other little trick that you can add to your arsenal. Take a look at this. This is the exact exact same term, but notice this time it's in parentheses. So in other words, you're asking Google or whichever major search engine you're in to show you the exact number of websites that are using and are trying to optimize for this exact phrase, creative sales ideas. Again, you can see this gentleman is number one, which means whoever this company is, they're probably an experienced online marketer. They've still got the number one slot, but look who moved up to number two for the exact match. Once again, as of June 29th, I think you recognize that name and I think you recognize that site. YouCanMarketOnlineNow.com. So in other words, when you can, try and target keywords of less than 1,000. Basically, the sweet spot to try to rank now consistently is going to be between 500 monthly searches and 1,000. And the reason why you want to use such a small window and such a low amount of monthly search volume is because, again, the big players, they're not going to bother with it. And the less experienced marketers, they don't know these inside techniques and strategies that you've just been exposed to. So you want to optimize the page. You have what you call on-page SEO, search engine optimization, and off-page SEO. And off-page basically means backlinking. And the person that's got the most backlinks and has the most quality backlinks. In other words, you could have 200 backlinks, but if somebody has 20 backlinks and they're from what's called Google recognizes as high page rank sites, and basically page rank might be anything from, it goes from 0 to 10, but let's say anything between a 3 and a 7. Google will recognize that as a high page rank. If you had 25 or 50 links that had high page rank and the other person had 200 links but they were 0 page rank to 1, you're probably going to win. So that means if you were to check this particular website, whoever they are, or if it's this gentleman here, I'm not sure, they probably have a lot of quality backlinks. But here's the point I'm trying to make you understand. A moment ago you saw I was listed number 4 for video, but for the same exact term, only this time using the exact match, I'm now number 2. And as you recall, number 2 gets 12%. So if you take 880 multiplied by 1.2, you come up with 105, which means 105 click-throughs on your video. So ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you can see how it's possible for you to rank on Google's first page, even though A, you're just starting out, and B, you really don't know that much about search engine optimization. You're seeing the proof right here. And hopefully you can also see how and why Mr. Marketing is able to have small businesses in the local area approach me because they recognize, hey, this guy's ranking for a lot of terms. Maybe he'd be willing to consult and show us how he does it. Now, I don't do this obviously for people who are consulting, small business marketing consultants, because I'm not going to shoot myself in the foot. But the point is, it's very easy to do this and say go after chiropractors, dentists, law firms. A, they got big budgets, and B, they're willing to pay for results. So with that said, on that note, and remember, there's just a little graphic there. In this particular case, instead of getting half of that, in other words, 6% of that was 52, but 880 times 0.12, you just moved up. You're getting twice the clicks now, which means for the same effort, you get more results. Well, ladies and gentlemen, on that note, for those of you who want to discover how to add an additional 25% or more to your gross profit, bottom line, in the next 90 days or less, without adding any new customers or clients, then entrepreneur, be sure you grab that free 9-page special report, and you can do so by simply going to youcanmarketonlinenow.com/sales. This is Mark Newsom, Mr. Marketing, looking forward to being with you again next time on the Marketing Minute.